not everything needs a remake. If it's not broke, then just don't fix it. I mean, we all loved the 7 remake and stuff, but to me, they were completely unnecessary as good as they were. So when I was thinking about that, I made a list. And these games definitely need a remaster, but please, for the love of God, just don't remake them. Let's start with number 7, Golden Sun. So Golden Sun, first off, is just one of those series that people talk about with so much nostalgia that it's kind of like borderlining on religious devotion, and you can include me in that. I'm talking about the puzzles and the story, and it was the first, like, for me, because I don't consider Pokemon a JRPG, it was the first handheld JRPG that I was like absolutely hooked on. And it showed just how far like a handheld JRPG could go. It has a real big story, and the summons, like, I don't know, it's almost like claymation. I don't know exactly what kind of art style that is. It has real puzzles and dungeons and really great like graphics for the Game Boy Advance. And what really made Golden Sun special in the genre is, first off, Golden Sun had the Djinn system, which is one of the best like class systems ever. It had these flashy over-the-top summons, and like I said, the environmental puzzles that felt like Zelda meets Final Fantasy, and it had this bright tone and adventurous tone. And yeah, Golden Sun doesn't need a remake, but please, can we get this remastered? Just clean it up and let the nostalgia run wild, and we all love it. Number 6, Suikoden 5. And it's really sad that Suikoden 4 was so hated or divisive, and by the time Suikoden 5 came out, the series as a whole really didn't hold that much weight anymore, because you could make an argument that Suikoden 5 is the best Suikoden in the series. Plenty of people feel that way. It's the most underrated game in the entire series, and maybe one of the most underrated PS2 RPGs ever, period. And look, what made it special is it brought back the political drama and character depth that everybody loved from Suikoden 2, and it felt like the series had finally found its identity again after 4 kind of tinkered with it a little bit. And this is one of the best political JRPG stories ever told, with the alliances and the betrayals and everything that makes Suikoden special, the huge scale wars and the 108 stars of destiny and the like meaningful choices. The world is rich and the writing is great and the battle system is smooth. Its only real flaw is the PS2's technical limits, and a remaster would fix that instantly. Number 5, Lost Odyssey. And as you can see, some of these games need it more than others, because Lost Odyssey, and I just played it, is basically the lost Final Fantasy game. And if Final Fantasy had never left its PS2 era kind of identity and roots, Lost Odyssey would have been Final Fantasy 13. It just would have. It's a one-off game from Mistwalker, who at this time was really just in their bag. And it proved that kind of like these old school classic, and I mean classic as classic can get, JRPG design still had power and weight. And the story, again, the 1,000 Years of Dreams is probably my favorite. It's not a mechanic. I don't know what it is, like a storytelling vehicle. It's one of the best storytelling vehicles in gaming. And if you haven't played Lost Odyssey, just go look up the 1,000 Years of Dreams stories on YouTube, because they have them all. The battle system is clean and punchy, and it does have a little bit of a timing mechanism with the ring system, and the world feels grounded and mature, and the story is super kind of heartfelt and heart-wrenching. And the only old thing about it is the 360 era resolution. The load times and the frame rates aren't all that great. And I'm not saying this needs a remaster so much because it's so unplayable. I just think a remaster would make this game explode on like Steam and consoles. And no, a remake's not needed, but a remaster with a re-release, I mean, I think we would all like that. Probably love it. All right. Chrono Cross is number 4. And we need a real remaster, not the one that we got. Because Chrono Cross isn't, it's not just that sequel to Chrono Trigger. If you guys watch some of my Chrono videos before, you know that I actually like Chrono Cross more than Chrono Trigger. Too bad. Like, it has its own artistic flair and experimental nature and like dreamy quality that still blows a lot of people away. And it's so unique because it dared to kind of go in a completely different direction from Trigger, and it didn't apologize for it. And I don't apologize for Chrono Cross. And the combat, oh God, the music, the tone, everything was new and so unique. It's such a vibe that nothing else has really captured before. Maybe like, no, nothing else has really captured it before. Chrono Cross is one of the most atmospheric RPGs ever made. Surreal colors, surreal backgrounds, like these, like it almost looks like paintings. And the one drawback is like the huge cast with the branching dialogues. It can feel a little messy in that regard. But the combat system I actually loved, because it was built around this flow and this pace and this kind of like timing that, I don't know, I found it super addictive. And I know people hate the battle system. I love it, and I could grind with that battle system all day. The remaster we got just wasn't enough. I think the game deserves crisp visuals and proper lighting and like a really good frame rate so that its actual beauty can really show. Number 3, a game that I always put in all my lists, and I always preface it by saying I've never played it, but I know people love it, and that's Xenogears. One of these days, I swear to God, I will play this freaking game. I swear, I promise. But everybody loves Xenogears, and to be honest with you, if they did remaster it, I would definitely pick it up day one. And what made Xenogears so special, because I've covered this topic a billion times, it was its spiritual DNA first off went on to inspire Xenosaga and Xenoblade, but Xenogears itself was kind of the unfiltered and raw original form of those ideas. And it had this martial arts combat and giant mechs, and it was really heavy into like Jungian psychology and religious symbolism. And I've listened to the soundtrack, and it has an amazing soundtrack and a story that people still seem to debate over. And I think all it needs, from just what I've looked, is just clean up the models, smoother frame rate. Apparently disc 2 isn't that great in a lot of regards, so maybe just kind of fill that up a little bit, show some love for disc 2. A remake would probably mess with the story as far as I can tell, and I don't think anybody would want that. A remaster would just be perfect. You guys let me know in the comments, what else would you want to see in a Xenogears remaster? These top 2, first off, the top 2 are interchangeable. It's like 1A and 1B, but something has to go at number 2. And that something is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, and that would be Skies of Arcadia. And Skies of Arcadia is basically JRPG comfort food. It's optimistic and it's adventurous, and there's this spirit to it that kind of just fills you up. It's everything that you would want in a classic RPG, and you would want it to feel like Skies of Arcadia. But it nailed one thing that almost no JRPG ever pulls off, and it's pure, genuine wonderment. The sky exploration and the airship battles and the music and a world that's full of floating islands and this bright and positive tone, which actually to me, it doesn't come off as cheesy, which it really should come off as cheesy, but it really doesn't. It feels very anime in that way. Look, a remaster would kind of let people nowadays finally see how good the Dreamcast era art direction really was. And it doesn't need a remake. It just needs a polish, more than the Skies of Arcadia Legends version gave us. And now I want to get into some honorable mentions. Before we get on to number 1, we have to do honorable mentions. We're just going to go over these real quick. The Shadow Hearts trilogy, which was dark and weird and stylish and very unique. And the Judgment Ring system alone deserves some kind of like modern preservation. Legend of Legaia, martial arts combo combat that still feels very cool and fresh. Wild Arms 3 and 4. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how well it was received, but all I know is I loved Wild Arms as a franchise, and I would love to see it get some TLC and brought back in a form of a remaster. Tales of the Abyss, because the game is just frame rate wise, it's very choppy and it's on old hardware. It's one of those things where a remaster would really just be for the technical side of things. Now, with that said, I think we all know what number one is. The Final Fantasy killer itself, Legend of Dragoon. Shocker, I know. It's one of the Legend of Dragoon is one of those games where the idea stuck with people way more than the hardware could handle, if that makes sense. It was the franchise. It was the Sony had built a Final Fantasy killer, and even though obviously that didn't happen, it created this world and a combat system unlike anything else they ever made. And it's one of my biggest like wishes for this to come back as a full-on JRPG franchise, because I've seen a lot of JRPG slop out there. And if that slop can get sequel after sequel, so can Legend of Dragoon. And what made this game so special? First off, two things really stick out to me. The Dragoon transformations, which are still super iconic, and the timed hit combat system, which was way ahead of its time. And it was basically quick time events before there was quick time events. But it didn't feel cheap. It didn't feel phoned in, because the timing of it, as you progress in the game, the timing of the different combos that you would get through leveling up and getting stronger, it would be more difficult, more complex. And it felt like you were actually really learning how to play this character. And there were some combos in that game that to this day, I still have never probably completed once. I would have to go back and play it. Maybe I'm better now, but when I was a kid, I know for a fact there were certain ones towards the end game that I could not just time right. And in the late PS1 era, it was one of the few games that really looked and felt so cinematic. Like that opening cutscene with Shayna, laying there, and a remaster could fix. I know a lot of people think the battle system's a little slow. It could fix that. It could clean up the visuals and instantly make this even more of a fan favorite than it already is. So yeah, let me know. That's my list. Let me know what you agree. What did I leave off? And what would you put as number one? Let me know. I appreciate you all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have an amazing day, and God bless.